This is the Scott SR1. It's a brand new tension activated release from Scott Archery. If you're not familiar with how those work, stick around. You'll be interested how this little device has a way of exposing the flaws in your form. I don't believe buying new equipment will make you a better shot. I do think this is an exception to that rule. A tension activated release is unique in the industry because there's no trigger. The only way to fire it is by pulling through the shot, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like in a second, but first let's talk specs. It's built around an aluminum handle. It comes with both 3 and 4 finger options. You can swap them easily to fit your grip. The SR1 is adjustable for bows with holding weights from 0 to 60 pounds without having to swap any internal springs like some other brands. That's a big win for simplicity in one package. It features a polished open hook with a return spring and a thumb peg that acts as both the safety and cocking lever. And yes, it's fully adjustable. Let's talk setup. If you have a release that you can draw and it'll give you your peak weight and your holding weight, that's the easiest way to set this. And you can use that, and you're just going to set the release to be a couple pounds over your holding weight. If you don't have a scale to set this with, here's how you're going to do it with your bow. First off, set your target up really, really close. Then as you take this out of the package, you're not really sure where it's set, so I would just shoot it the way it is. You're going to pull up to your target, get really, really close to it. When you draw, you're obviously going to keep your thumb on the safety, pulled back. You're going to draw until you get to your holding position and get anchored. Make sure you're on target, and then you're going to release the pressure off of the safety peg. If it fires as soon as you let off, you're set way too light. At that point, you're going to start making adjustments in the back, and clockwise will increase the tension. And you're going to do that until you get to the point where you can draw back, hold, let off the pressure, and the bow won't fire. Now, if you take it out of the package and it's set way too heavy, you're going to draw back, you're going to be able to do that, you're going to get back to anchor, you're going to let off the safety, and nothing's going to happen. And you're going to be able to pull as hard as you can, and it's not going to fire. At that point, you're going to need to start turning it down counterclockwise on the screw until you get to a point where it can comfortably be held. Ideally, where you want this to be is when you draw, you can hold, and it should not take more than adding just a couple pounds of pressure to the back to get it to fire. Now, a couple things with this release that you absolutely need to understand. When it comes to letting down, just like shooting a hinge, you're gonna want to get back on the thumb peg. If you are at full draw and you just let down, the bow's gonna fire because you're gonna exceed the tension set on the spring as it gets into the poundage of the bow. So make sure if you're letting down, you hold the safety. Also, if you get back to anchor and you kind of creep up and you let the bow kind of collapse on you a little bit, it's going to fire. Be very careful with that. Bows that have a really shallow valley are actually kind of hard to shoot with this release, and I honestly don't recommend it. Bows like this is my PSE XF33. I don't like shooting this bow and this release just because the dump into this is really aggressive. And if I even come off my back wall just a little bit, this wants to pull away and run away, and the shot's gonna fire. On the other hand, with the Elite, this thing has a really gentle drop into the valley, and I can get back and get stable. And if for some reason I do let off the back wall a little bit, it's not gonna run away, and it's not just gonna fire on me. Well, now that we're all set up, let's get into how this release actually helps you shoot better. I'm gonna cover this more in depth in another video, but a resistance style release was essential for me overcoming target panic. But for now, let's give you a few tips on how to be successful with your SR1. So here's what the SR1 won't let you do. You can't just punch the trigger. You can't do the drive-by and punch. You can't collapse and creep in your shot. You can't do the pop and punch, which is what I used to do all the time. You can't do any of the terrible things that target panic has taught you. A tension style release forces you to execute with a steady, controlled pressure. No cheating. Yes, you could get back and just yank on it, but you're going to send arrows into the next county with that method. You could also set it super, super light, but if you're not exactly perfectly in the bottom of your valley, as soon as you let go, it's gonna go off. It becomes unpredictable and it's a safety concern. With the proper tension set, this release will allow you to draw the bow, get on target, and aim without all the anxiety of a trigger. Once you're on the target, all you have to do is let off the safety and continue to push and pull throughout the shot. You can't let your shoulder collapse and you can't start creeping off the back wall. You simply continue to increase pressure until it breaks. There is a learning curve involved with a resistance style release. I'll warn you now, at first you're going to love it, but then you're going to hate it, but then eventually you'll learn to love it again. If you've been struggling with target panic, once you start shooting this release, you're going to love it. You're going to shoot the best you've ever shot in your life because it'll be the first time you've ever been able to hold the pin on the target while the shot breaks. If you're picking one of these up to fight target panic, I would encourage you to shoot this release exclusively for an extended period of time. I shot my tension activated release for over a year before I ever went back to a different handheld. After you feel like you have a good foundation with this release, you can start transitioning back to your different handhelds. And that's when you're going to feel the struggle. Because all the habits of being able to punch or grab or dump, they're all going to come back. You have to continue to go back to the resistance style release to keep working through the bad habits. That's when you're going to realize just how challenging it really is to shoot this release. After a good while, you'll come to recognize how valuable this release is in your toolkit. I tend to use this release for my warm-ups. Anytime I'm shooting for an extended period, I will always start with 5, 10, sometimes 20 arrows out of this before I transition to my hinge. At this point for me, the resistance style release is a gut check. It ensures I'm staying true to my form. It's a place for me to get a good reset to ensure I'm focusing on the basic fundamentals of shooting a bow correctly. The SR1 isn't just another release. It's a training tool that forces you to shoot the right way. I don't believe buying new equipment makes you shoot better, but this release can actually correct your bad habits. If you're serious about improving your form, this thing belongs in your release pouch.